What else is broke? Maybe that concludes it for now. Got the rake, the van, the baler, wrapper, the other baler, hay bine. The life of farming. Everybody, it is overcast today. Still a bit bright. I'm still squinting. Try to keep my eyes open, but it's a little bit sunny for that. But it is actually quite overcast. We had a bunch of rain yesterday, which is good and not good. We got hay to make, but it's nice to have some slowdown. We've got a lot of broken stuff. So first thing I'll show you, I guess, is this rake. Sorry for the noise. The generator's running pretty loud. We got this rake here. Belongs to the farmer, but I get to use it. And so in exchange, I kind of maintain it, I guess. But in him using it, last time he used it, I don't know what he did, but he smashed off most of his teeth. Okay, so these are just bolted on. Got to unloosen the bolts. And I picked up a whole bunch of new teeth for him. So I'll put them all on. He pays for the teeth, and I put my time into fixing it. He just bought this farm. This came with his farm. And I don't know how many years of use it's had. Last week, or like 2 weeks ago, I welded some cracks up that I found in here and put this extra plate on. Now, I didn't notice, but there must have been maybe a hairline on the other side too, because this one here is going. So we're going to fix that up for him. And I think there was one more somewhere. I don't see it right now, but that needs to be fixed up. So that's one project. On the bench over there, I've got new rotors. I can walk over there, but it is awfully noisy, I'm sorry. And if I'm yelling, I apologize for that too. Those are new rotors for my van. The van needs a new brake job done. Steering wheel is just shaking like crazy. So I gotta get that done. Not sure if I'll get to it today or not. It's not my priority. The van still breaks. The wrapper, we made some adjustments to there. It's a little quieter. We put this angle bracket in a week or two ago to stiffen this corner up because it was busted here. I bought it that way. I had tried welding this, but it broke right away, mostly because there's an access hole on this side, and that weakens the structure. So anyway, I threw an angle iron in. The problem is that used to hit a switch over here, and that would hit at this point here on this guy. And now that I have the angle iron in, it hits too soon, and it actually bent this guy right over this plate. So I've got that straightened again, and I have to just switch. This is a different style. This is a roller switch. It just goes up and down, but it wouldn't allow anything to go past it. Okay, and I need my thing to be able to go. Where am I? Wrong side. Why is it backwards? Anyway, to be able to go past this. So I picked up a whisker switch instead, and that's what this is. So this allows me to, it just bends right over. Okay, so I'm installing that. Well, it is installed. The wiring's hooked up. It's ready to go. I just need to drill a few new holes in this plate and put a new whisker switch on. Whisker switch, roller switch. Does the same thing, but different uses. So that needs to be done on this guy. Then he's going to go out. Customer wants to rent this thing today. The tractor still needs work too, I guess. I got a new window coming. Ben was driving around with the door open like this and caught a tree. It was dark, didn't see it, took the whole door off the other side. Yeah, I know. Don't ask, right? So now I got a new door coming for that. I don't have that today though, but that needs to be fixed. This tractor, well, we need lights on this tractor. I got no lights on here at all, so that's another project we got to tackle if I get around to today. We'll be popping some lights on frontwards and backwards so we can see something at night. This time of year is not too bad. We can pretty well work till 10 o'clock at night and still see. 9:30, and then it starts to get dark. but it won't be long. The days are getting shorter now, and we're definitely going to need to do more stuff at nighttime. It'd be nice to have some lights. This baler broke yesterday. I was gone, and this is a shear bolt right here. You can see that. So basically that allows, if the baler gets jammed up for whatever reason, that you don't get that jam passing all the way through into the tractor, because then you could cause some serious damage to the tractor. Instead, it busts the shear pin or shear bolt, and but then it kept blowing. Now I don't have the proper bolts. He just found whatever we had on the shelf and stuck it in there. I forget what he said, but we went through 5 or 6 of them yesterday. So we're gonna look into that. Sometimes there's something wrong with the baler. Sometimes there's something jammed in there. There's a bearing going, or there's something that's giving extra strain that may need to be looked at as a contributing factor to blowing the shear pin. And I'm also going to see if I can find a hardened bolt. Shear pins generally are hardened bolt, not your regular bolts. They can take a bit more abuse. So that needs to be fixed up. Aside from that, I think the baler was still running good. My disc bind, I got it fixed up. So that's actually one piece of equipment that's still working. My hay bind, it's got a bearing out. I can't show you it because it's still out in the guy's field where we were cutting last with it. We left it there and baled the hay around it. We will be fixing that. I picked up new bearings for it so it can get fixed up and ready to go. Then I got my baler sitting over here, getting a little closer. And I've got a new shaft for it. So this is our baler. I've had this baler for 6-7 years, I think. Love this baler. It's well paid for by now. We've run a lot of bales through there. We've done a bunch of work to it. I've thought about trading it a few times, but really, I don't know. We just keep fixing it. I don't think we're losing money on it anyway. Maybe at some point I'll trade it. This is a piece in here. I can get this open somehow. That covers off. This shaft shouldn't look like that, okay? It should be sitting straight up, and this chain runs around it. So that's my main drive shaft. So same thing as the other baler I showed you. There's a PTO shaft. It runs in, goes to a gearbox, that then feeds into this cabinet. If I can get that open. Feeds into this cabinet. You can see there's lots of sprockets and gears in here, one of which feeds down to this guy, which then feeds down to the shaft that I showed you here. And that goes in, and there's a clutch in there. And so if your header gets jammed up, this clutch will actually go. It'll slip. Now, I think 4 years ago, 3 years ago, there's the clutch in there. So everything's jammed full of hay here right now. I can get that cleaned up. This is something that's regular maintenance on a baler as well. That stuff should continuously be cleaned up because there's all potential for hay fire. So I put, I don't know, 47 bales of hay through real quick here before the shaft busted, and we haven't got a chance to clean it up since then. We kept going with the other baler at least, but alright, maybe you can see a bit more there now. So, no, I still can't. Why? Let's see. Hey, everywhere's hay. Okay, hard to tell, but that is a clutch. Okay, and it allows it to slip. So you can see there's notches in here. I don't know if you can see that. So if you get enough torque in the header, this will actually be able to pop apart, and these notches will slip past each other. All right, and it's springed together here. So that shaft though is busted off 3-4 years ago. It broke, and it's a $600 shaft, $550. Now it's $600. It cost me $630. I think at that time it was just over $500, maybe $550. Yeah, we couldn't afford to fix it. And I had this older guy around the corners, retired. I want to say he's in his 80s, and he had his own little machine shop going there. He had a metal lathe and all that. So I brought it to him. Somebody recommended that. I forget his name now. Super nice guy. He worked on it for hours and hours and hours, welded the shaft back up, put it on his lathe, and cleaned up all the extra welds so the shaft was the right size again. And it had a slight wobble to it, but other than that, it's worked, and we've been bailing with it for, like I said, about 3-4 years now. All that work. He's like, oh, I don't know, give me 20 bucks. It's like, it's got to be worth more than that. No, that's fine, that's fine. So that was a pretty good deal. Nice guy. So anyway, it finally gave up the ghost and snapped again. So I've got a new one of those ordered. So I got to put that in. What else is broke? Maybe that concludes it for now. Got the rake, the van, the baler, wrapper, the other baler, hay bine. The life of farming. Sometimes people think, you know, you make a fair bit of money charging people for work and going into custom work and stuff. It's not bad as long as nothing breaks. It's great, but stuff always breaks. And then you know, hay's laying on the ground right now. Actually, there's hay laying out there that should be baled, and we can't bale it because the this baler was broke, and the other one, the shear pin, kept blowing, and Ben couldn't get it figured out. So now there's, you know, there's probably these 40 bales worth of hay laying out in the field that should have been baled yesterday and got rained on last night. These are just realities that we face. It's a constant maintenance thing. Anybody that's going to own a farm or start a homestead or anything like that, I highly recommend having some kind of skills or learning some kind of skills as far as fixing things. I can't afford to have somebody else come in here all the time and fix this stuff. We maintain it ourselves. I try to teach the kids as much as possible while we're doing it, so that they'll have those skills when they're older as well. I've picked them up here, there, and wherever. I've worked with for a few guys that were very good at doing that as well, and showed me how to do it. And the rest, yeah, YouTube you can learn a lot from. There's lots of videos out there. If you don't know how to do it, you can find something on there. Farmers forums, there's lots of stuff there. Type in what you're doing and put forum in behind it, and FORUM. That gives me lots of information, because there's lots of older guys on there who've run into all these problems before. But yeah, highly recommend learning how to fix your own stuff. So we'll get this guy going. There's a sprocket going in here too, but it hasn't given up yet. This here sprocket, you can see how thin that is. It should look like this guy, okay, but it's wore out. Now, that was my own silliness. These things are held back with a tensioner here, this spring, and this was an old chain, so we popped a new chain in there, and it was obviously a lot tighter, and I didn't change the tension on this spring. So him pulling so hard on here pulled this guy over and wore off a good chunk. It was already partly wore, but now it's really worn and very thin. So I do have a new sprocket for that. This one's still going though. We adjusted the spring tension now so that this guy, this guy rides more in the middle of the chain and not against the side of the chain. So hard to figure where to point here, folks. Here. It's not riding against the side of this anymore. It's more in the middle, so it won't wear it as fast. But that's our plan today, get all that stuff fixed up. Okay, I got the old whisker switch off. I put the new one on. Instead of bolting it, I actually just put these tie straps on. So when we tried that out, it works awesome. So that's why I like it, because the machine can go past this. It isn't going to wreck nothing. It's just springs back and forth. Very cool. This one here, Wes is busy putting new teeth on. Right now, I've got this crack welded back up over here. So that's done. And on the other side, I did this piece of angle iron. So we're going to do the same thing here. I got Wes to cut me one for this. And I will fit that in here as well, just to give it some more strength. And we'll do that on top and bottom. I won't be filming that because Wes is busy. And he probably doesn't feel like holding the camera while I'm working. What do you think? Could if you tell me to. There you go. The other thing that was wrong with this, the guy that owns it busted this jack. This is just a little stand. It goes in that hole right there, and when you're not using it, it would be a leg down to the ground, so it doesn't lay down like this. And he had bent it. So I cut the bent portion out. I found another piece of pipe that we've stuffed in there to give it more strength. And I'm just going to tack that in there now, and then we'll re-drill a hole. Looks like somebody wore that hole out pretty good too. So anyway, we'll just drill one clean new hole through so that it can be pinned in there again. And then once the teeth are all replaced, this rake should be good to go. Then I just gotta do the baler yet, I guess. Okay, here we are, another day. I never got the project done. This is the baler shaft. You can see there's a chunk. This is supposed to be stuck together. I got a pulley puller on here, so that doesn't belong. The shaft looks like this, and should be one piece. So now I need to pull this gear off, this bearing set off of here, that lock, name escapes my mind now. And same thing on this side. So I'm getting this bearing moving now. I've lubricated the shaft, sanded it all off first. That's I got 220 grit paper to get the shaft smooth. Had a real hard time getting this to budge. What I'm worried is I'm going to damage the bearing by pulling it off, so hopefully that won't be the case and I can reuse it. Otherwise I'll have to get a new one. And that's the shaft that broke. So this shaft here is 20 inches long. It is kind of complex. It's got this spline portion here and threaded here, and it's a little bit thinner in spots, thicker in spots. That shaft is $630. So there's that breakdown. And then I don't know how much time it's going to take me to get this all back together. Depends on how well this stuff pulls apart. But this is for the baler, and this is shut down the baler. Just that shaft is enough to cut off all the baling. So hopefully I can get this all put back together and get that baler running again today. Wes is still working on the hay rake. Hopefully that gets, we should be able to get it done today as well. And then I still got to fix the hay bind so we can go and cut some more. But anyway, yeah, I kind of forgot to film pulling it out of the baler. But here I am trying to get this stuff apart right now. And yeah, like I said, hopefully get it all put back together today. Alright, I got that one side off, no problem. There's the bearing. And so that goes on the one side. The other side, I just remembered now. So what's going on here on the end of the shaft, it's keyed. There's a key that goes in there. I have one laying here. Looks like this half moon piece. That would go in. This is for a different one, not for here. And then this sprocket goes on and held in with a set screw, and there was also a screw in the end. We had sheared this off 4 years ago-ish, and we just ended up welding this shaft right onto the end, or this sprocket right onto the end. So now I can't get it off. I'm going to keep trying it, but I'm having a hard time getting it off, so I may have to order more parts to get a new sprocket for the end here. Yeah, and then we should be good to go after that. Alright, this job is still very complex. I have got a few new parts now. They sent the sucker black paint on it, which is actually just a hair too tight. I couldn't get these bearings on here, which is very frustrating. So I got that fixed up. This is the clutch pack in here. Got it all on. This nut was a little bit wrecked because the other one broke right on the edge of this nut, so it wrecked it. So anyway, got that fixed. Now I got this shaft cleaned up enough to get the bearings on here. This piece I had to order. The other one was broken 4 years ago, and we welded it solid to the shaft. So now I have a new one of these, so I had to wait a couple days for that to show up. And got to get a few pieces off the old shaft. Ben's going to cut off, and then we can slip this back together and hopefully get this baler running today. But Monday we got to start cutting hay again, and Tuesday hopefully get it together. So I can't say enough, pulley puller is an essential. I said this last year in one of the videos we made as well. Made my life so much simpler having some tools. We used to have nothing, and Anissa and I were just discussing that. You know, I used to cut everything with just a skill saw. It was the only saw I owned when we got together, and I had very little. I mean, I had a handful of wrenches and a couple of pliers and some vice grips, and that's how I made do. But it sure was frustrating. It's a lot easier working on things when you have some tools. So I tell the kids too, if you're going to invest your money in something, tools is never really a bad thing, within reason. But they always come in handy. And once you're married, it's sometimes harder to afford tools than when you have excess income as a youth. So anyway, that's what we're doing. So I won't probably take any more video of this. We'll get it put onto the baler, and then hopefully it'll be running.
Oh dear, what is going on? This is not the barnyard, but they seem to think it is. We got some goats, got some turkeys. Oh, there's Gordon too. Got some chickens. Buttercup was here a minute ago, the cow. So, oh, there she is over there, way over there. We have had a lot of coyote activity happening at night, and I'm guessing that these critters know where to come for safety. It would be nice though if they would just stop eating my leaves off my plants around my house. Silly things. Oh, there's some duckies. Old MacDonald had a farm. Oh, we got another one eating at the bird feeder. Welcome to our life. Frida, what are you doing?